Welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host. I bring you tips, advice, and guest stories about creating work you love. Whatever type of career or business you have or want, I want to help you find more meaning, money, and happiness. Now we are live from Hollywood. Hello, and welcome to the Limit Free Life Show. I'm Michelle Perkins, your host, and I'm so happy today to bring you some really wonderful information from a wonderful guest, Penny Zelenkoff, who I'm very excited to talk to because she's going to be teaching you some really interesting techniques around real estate and some investing in real estate. And I'm particularly excited today because I want to learn this and I don't know much about it. So I'm very excited to ask her some questions and have you all share in the answers. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Penny to you. For almost 20 years, Penny focused on rehabbing or fixing properties, real estate investing, and private money lending. These days, Penny Z helps women rehab their money mindset by offering training programs that help create cash flow and build wealth through a unique opportunity to invest in real estate without owning any properties. As a trainer, Penny Z empowers women to have a voice and choice in their financial freedom by teaching the art of private money lending in the world of real estate. In Penny's extraordinary story, she shares how she changed her life and how these life-changing choices have fueled her mission to help others stand up and live their very best life. Penny also is the host of her own podcast, and I'm so happy to have her here today with us. Hello and welcome.
Thank you, Michelle. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, this is so much fun. And we are in a mastermind group together, but we haven't actually really had a conversation. So this is a big treat. And I've been hearing a lot about what you're doing, and I'm so excited for you to talk to the audience about it. This is very much related to career, business, and money, which are the topics that we talk about here. And so can you go ahead and just take us on a little journey through your life and
Sure.
Tell us how you got to doing what you're doing right now?
Sure, absolutely. Well, 18 years ago, I was working in the corporate America world, and I was at home watching a commercial. And as the commercial evolved from 30 seconds to 1 minute to 15 minutes to 30 minutes, I realized I was watching my first infomercial. And the first infomercial was how to buy real estate with no money down. And so I thought about it, and I had remembered from some advice of my uncle that if you wanted to, live well, retire well, and be financially free, that you should look at investing in real estate. So I thought for $99, business in a box, I'm going to try this. So I bought the program. The program came to my front door. I opened up the box. There was a CD and there was a training manual. I thought, well, let's see what I can learn from this. So I went through being a high D driver personality, went through that pretty quickly. And though I understood the concept of investing in real estate, I had never done it. So I really am kind of self-made. I went out and found a realtor. I found my first flip. I've done fix and flip business for almost 18 years.
Wow.
I've also been in commercial and landlording and private money lending. So I have kind of had my fingers in a couple of different areas. But my start was, and my passion is with flipping. So I bought my first house. And one of the things, of course, that we all need for the most part in real estate, even though there is some money down programs, is we need money.
Yeah.
So my realtor introduced me to what's called a private money lender. And she actually helped me buy my first flip. And after that, I was hooked.
Realtor.
Yes. Very smart. I had a great team back there and a great group of real estate investors who kind of helped me along the way.
Okay.
And so fast forward 15 years ago, actually. So 18 years ago, I started. 15 years ago, I had a personal empowerment life change.
Okay.
So what happens in our life, right, as we all know, is we go through valleys. We go through the roller coaster ride of life, whether it's financial or personal. Well, if any of your listeners can understand or relate, I went through, unfortunately, a separation, which was not necessarily wanted. I think it was somewhat expected, but definitely I would have changed things if things could have been changed. I went through a separation, I went through a divorce, and I decided that I was going to move from Colorado, where I lived, to Florida, kind of a running away from home, really, to be honest with you.
On your own?
On my own. So I moved to a place that I didn't know anyone. I had to restart my business. I was on a financial and emotional roller coaster ride. And so about 3 years ago, as I, got myself up every day, even though I didn't feel like it, put on my big girl pants and brush myself off and empower myself to be able to get back out there, I was doing 4 fix and flips at the time.
Wow.
And
Okay.
one of the lenders that I worked with, she was also helping me as a private money lender, said, Penny, have you ever been a private money lender? You've been in real estate for so long. Have you ever been a private money lender? When you flip, you make a decent amount of money. We've talked that you have self-directed or you have retirement money and monies in various liquid assets. And I said, I have never once thought of being a private money lender. I have never been introduced to private money lending other than the fact that I have used it. And after researching on the World Wide Web, because the World Wide Web knows everything, right? I couldn't find a lot of training or support or mentorship. There's a little bit out there. And so over the last 3 years, in coming up with this realization, being in real estate for 18 years, as well as using private money lending, I started my own private money lending business 3 years ago.
Nice.
And so now I've evolved to helping other people create their financial freedom through private money lending.
And my guess is at the time when you borrowed money to do your first flip, you would have never envisioned yourself doing this. Is that correct? Or?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And part of it too, I think, and I know you address this with your clients and with your listeners, is that the money mindset that we have. When I was a little girl, and at the time it could have been my family, it could have been the generation, I was never really taught or discussed money.
Yeah.
So to go into money investment was very foreign. And to talk about it out loud in person or in public was almost like a no-no.
Right.
So that was not something I thought of even 18 years ago. And thank goodness I was introduced to it from a different perspective 3 years ago.
Right. And so not unusual. I mean, I hear every day how people just weren't, especially women, weren't taught anything. And even if the dad in the family was sort of teaching the boys in the family something, they were teaching the girls something else. And
Correct.
So,
Yes.
yeah, very interesting. I'm finding this really interesting, and I've heard the term private money lending, but I have not really known what it meant. And I didn't really even know that it was related to real estate. So, this is one of those things that exists out there that most of us don't know very much about. I'm not sure why that is. The one thing I do know, and whatever relative told you that you should have some real estate investments in your world to, increase your wealth. That's how my immigrant grandparents, they came over and had trades like carpentry, but eventually it blew up into building full apartment buildings, and that's how, they were able to do well in this country.
Absolutely.
And my father-in-law has told me forever, and he came from Nebraska, was living in the Dust Bowl what was that? Is that what it's called? The Dust Bowl? That period of time when there was nothing growing and everybody had to leave for work, and that was the era he grew up in, and did quite well. Again, his mantra was always, you have to have some real estate investments. You don't have to. Doesn't have to be your main business, but that needs to be
Part of your
part of your portfolio. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And so that message is out there, especially from older generations, and yet, I think for a lot of us, we don't know exactly how. We know we could buy a condo and rent it out, but we don't know beyond that how to actually get into bigger and better investing.
Absolutely. Well, and you're right. Real estate has so many spokes of the wheel. You can be a fix and flipper like myself. You can be a landlord in what we call buy and hold. You can be what's called a wholesaler, which I won't even get into that. That's another aspect. And then, of course, there's commercial. If you're buying office buildings or commercial property, apartments, mobile homes, there's all these opportunities. And it's not that I discourage people, but there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of training programs already out there that's teaching this side that do a very good job of teaching people how to invest in the property.
Right.
What I'm offering is how people to pivot their mindset and to how to look at the assets that they have, their liquid cash assets, and how to be able to create cash flow still, which is what you do when you own the property,
Right.
but you're able to create cash flow by being a lender. If you think about what a bank does when you have your own mortgage, just expand it to from your own home to an investment property to an apartment complex to a commercial, the banks are getting cash flow because they're getting monthly payments, as well as they're building wealth because the asset, every time they pay, there's more and more equity in the property. So you as the lender, even though you don't own it, if something should happen, unfortunately we don't want to, but from time to time it does,
Right.
you have a higher equity rate. So you're able to basically create cash flow. You're able to build wealth because a private money lender is able to be in control of their investments and they're able to negotiate the loan,
Okay.
which is a little different than what traditional lenders are able to do. So let's say you have your assets in a liquid asset account. It might be a bank account, a savings account, or even a retirement account. Most people, quite honestly, don't know how much they're making.
Right.
And most investment
You mean in
liquid
terms
assets
of earnings?
in earnings,
Yeah,
a
right.
rate of return, a
Right.
percentage. So most people will be making anywhere from 0 to 2% to maybe 5 or 7 on average. Now there's some really savvy investors out there through the stock market and the retirement account that's making more, but on average most Americans don't know where their investments are, even though it's in a financial institution. Number 2, they don't know what fees they're paying, and they don't know what
Absolutely.
their rate of return is.
Right.
So think about just pivoting our mindset, like you said, your money mindset. Think about, if I think better and I know better, I can do better. What if I knew there was an opportunity to invest in real estate by taking my liquid assets, pivoting my thought process, pivoting the way I look at investing my money, and becoming a lender on real estate? You could be in charge and negotiate your own terms. Now, there are guidelines, there's rules and regulations, and my training company teaches people from A to Z how to set up and create and build a private money lending business. But you could get on average, and I can't ever predict or guarantee, but someone could negotiate a rate of 8, 10, 12, 15% rate of return for their money that might be making 0 to 2%. So it's a different way of
Wow.
thinking.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you brought up money mindset because it is, I think, it's hard enough to shift your money mindset in small ways, but this is a big shift to think of
It
yourself
is.
as the banker, basically, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Well, and we want to make sure that when you're making that shift, you have the support, the tools and the techniques and the mentors to do that.
Right.
We need that in life,
Right.
whether we're, an athlete or whether we're a business executive or we're looking on a spiritual journey. It's important for us to have those mentors and those coaches that have walked before us
Right.
to be able to help us along that path, to give us the knowledge, to give us the experience, and to help us to accomplish things quicker as well.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so interesting. Now, one thing you mentioned that I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to ask you about liquid assets. I don't typically think of retirement accounts as being liquid assets. Can you tell us a little about how
Sure,
that might
that's,
work?
private money lending and retirement account, I want to say are the best kept secrets. I don't know if that's the right term, but they definitely are a secret that should be shared. And I'll be honest with you, Michelle, I don't even like the word private money lending because to me
Right.
it's private and it shouldn't be private. It should be out there for the public. So I'm going to change the word when I revolutionize the industry. We're going to change that title. But there is a way when you have retirement money, and it is in mutual funds, it might be stocks and bonds, it's held with a financial institution usually. There is a way to convert and keep and maintain your retirement and keep it intact for the tax credits
Okay.
and the other benefits of that. But you pivot from a traditional IRA, a traditional retirement account, to what is called self-directed IRA. Now, I will tell you, I have used them. I'm aware of them, but when I usually train my clients, I will bring in a self-directed IRA expert from one of the
Okay.
companies
Okay.
that will talk about, educate, answer questions. So there's a way to take your current assets, which are limited. They're limited in what you can and can't do, how much you can invest,
Okay.
and they're also limited in what you can use them for.
Okay.
So if someone is interested in taking, and I do say they are liquid assets because you can take those assets and just pivot your mind, think of things a little differently and pivot from a traditional IRA to a self-directed IRA, that opens up a tremendous amount of opportunity to be able to utilize that money
Okay.
and to be able to use it as a loan
Okay.
to help another investor. The investor can buy a property. The investor makes money. What a great concept. You're able to negotiate your rate of return. You're in control. You minimize your risk. You do
Okay.
your due diligence on the project.
Right.
And then you can return that money back into your retirement account
With no penalty or anything?
with no penalty.
Okay.
And there's a way to be able to make even more money than traditional. And I apologize, I'm not a financial planner. I have to disclose that. But there is a way to actually put more assets into your retirement account as a self-directed IRA
Okay.
than the traditional contributions
yeah,
that you can make
the limits
annually.
okay.
Again, I'm aware of it. I don't want to misdirect anyone, but I bring in a knowledge expert in self-directed IRA that helps our clients understand that concept and helps them pivot their account from one account to another.
Do most financial planners, advisors, is this part of their, do they know about this and they're not telling us, or what's going on here?
That's a great question. First off, I don't know completely that answer. I don't know what they don't know. But I will say that most financial institutions do not offer this type of account.
Okay.
So
okay.
your traditional Morgan Stanley, Edward Jones, all great institutions, they don't offer this type of self-directed account
Okay.
for real estate investing. So one would have to just pivot to a different financial institution.
Okay.
And there are very credible, reputable institutions out there. I have partnerships with several of them
Okay.
that I refer people to. And those are the institutions that would be able to allow you to become a private money lender and invest your retirement account differently than it's currently invested.
Okay. I can see a huge money mindset shift possibly needed around risk.
Right.
Because right now the really risk-averse people are kind of squirming around going, this is all sounding like something I don't know.
Sure.
But of course, learning and understanding, an opportunity that may, we don't want to run because of
Right.
potential risk, mostly based on what we don't know. And so tell, imagine that I'm sitting here talking to you about this, and I am a risk-averse person.
Sure.
What do you want to tell me about the risk and about, how to think about the return?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I would say thank you for the opportunity to have a discussion and for education, because education is power. Yeah. Whether you choose to go down this path and create and build a private money lending business, I will be honest with you, it's not for everyone. But I appreciate the opportunity to educate, because education is power, and when you think better and know better, we do better. So that would be the first thing that I would say.
Okay.
The second thing that I would say is I completely understand. I'm concerned about my money too. And my money is also being invested in a private money lending in other people.
Right.
So first off, educate yourself. The second thing that we do with every client to make sure is we do a risk assessment.
Okay, interesting.
It's very important to understand exactly what you said. Where are you in the pendulum of risk? Are you very risk adverse, or are you very much a risk taker,
Right.
or somewhere in between? So we do strategy sessions to get to know our clients, to understand where they're currently invested,
Right.
what they're comfortable in, to answer any questions, and to do a risk assessment on themselves, so
Okay.
we understand where they're at first off.
Okay.
From there, part of our training and part of our mentorship program, let's say we were to move forward, and that's something that you're like, okay, I'd like to at least go through the training program,
Right.
so I have knowledge and education
Right.
on what this really is,
Right.
before I make the full decision to go, all board, all in.
Right, right.
That didn't come out
And of
right.
course,
but
you
know
really
what I mean.
wouldn't want to do this without excellent training before
I
you
would
get into
highly
it.
recommend, especially getting into anything new, to make sure to go through training. I am extremely, it's extremely important for me and for my integrity and for my company and for my clients to get the education, to ask the questions, to walk with a mentor. I talk to my clients, and we walk through to make sure they're comfortable. We are not just getting a 1 hour or half an hour once a month and good luck, you're on your own, which we know is out there.
Right.
And so being kind of self-made
Right.
and understand the trials and tribulations of going through that, want to minimize that risk as
Right.
much as possible for my clients. So
Where would you put yourself, just out of curiosity, like on a 1 to
For
10
my risk?
spectrum of you as a risk taker?
I am probably a little above the middle.
Okay, so
As an entrepreneur, you're naturally more
that's correct.
of a risk taker.
Right.
And so I'm willing to do that. But the difference between risk and managing risk. And so what I'd like to share with you and your followers and audience is that nothing is guaranteed, even the investments out there. If you're in a retirement
Absolutely.
account and the stock market crashes like it did 2007, 8, 9, guess what? We lost 30 to 50% of our money during that time, right? So there's no guarantee and you have no control.
Right.
Whereas this, you have control. And so what I teach and what we teach through Pennywise, which is my company, is we teach to manage risk. So it's important for you to know what your risk assessment is.
Right.
It's also
Okay.
important for an entrepreneur in the private money lending business or in any kind of business, I believe, to know your boundaries. What are you willing to invest on? How long do you want to invest?
Right.
What kind of negotiation? What kind of person do you want to invest with? And what kind of properties? So we go through all of this assessment so that you have a very clear understanding of what your risk assessment is, what your boundaries are.
Yeah.
And then we walk you through. Some people might take 6 months. Some people might take a year of mentoring, of looking at those prospects. So when someone says, I want to invest in a fix and flip, we will walk you through and say, okay, these are the questions you want to ask the investor. This is the background you want to look at the investor.
Okay.
And it's not only looking at the investor. Quite honestly, as a private money lender, what's almost more important is the property that you're loaning against.
Right.
Traditional mortgages look at you as the lender, right? When we go
Right.
to buy our own house, they look at our credit score, they look at our employment history, they look at 2-year taxes. They're looking at the credibility of us.
Right.
Then they do an assessment on the property.
Right.
Right? An appraisal on the property.
Right.
And if it appraises, which it almost always does,
Right.
the bank's happy.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Private money lender does a risk assessment and a risk management because we want to minimize and manage risk on the property to make sure that the property would be something that, heaven forbid, and we don't want this, but we do know oopses happen in this world, so we can never guarantee anything, right? That if we were to get the property back as the lender, do I want that property?
Got it.
And if I
Okay.
want that property, in what terms do I want the property? So we teach you how to negotiate that.
Right.
We also teach you and how to negotiate and how to say no. This project isn't for me at this time. But if you have another project, XYZ investor,
Yeah.
please come to me again. If you like the
Okay.
person that you want to consider investing with.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So you just minimized a good deal of the risk, actually, because you're totally in the driver's seat in terms of what you take, how much, I would imagine. I mean, how much money you're...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can negotiate your interest rate. You can negotiate points. You can negotiate fees. You can negotiate if you get a monthly check, if you get quarterly checks, if you get annual checks, if you're paid at the end. There's all kinds of ways to be able to create your lifestyle and to
Okay.
be in control of your money.
Okay.
It's just a matter of figuring out what's your risk, what's your boundaries, and what kinds of investments you want to invest in. Once you know that, the
Right.
rest is easy.
Okay. Okay.
At least I think so. So that's what we teach our clients when you go through Pennywise.
Really interesting. What does it take to kind of dip your toe in this if you don't have a lot of funds and you're thinking, this is sounding interesting?
Absolutely. Well, whether you have a lot of funds or you have a little funds, I always recommend start small.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I don't want any of my clients to invest large amounts of money right out of the chute.
Yeah.
So that's part of the risk assessment, right?
Okay.
Let's manage risk. Let's start small. Let's learn the business. Let's get our feet wet. Let's understand how to do this. And then we can decide when we want to get bigger.
Right.
But to answer your question, really, it doesn't take a lot.
Yeah.
If someone had $10,000 or $20,000 in a liquid cash asset, that could be a checking or savings money market CD,
Okay.
or again, it could be in a stock or bond or retirement account. You can start your private money lending business. Now, it'll take a little bit longer than someone who has 100,000 or $1 million,
Right.
obviously.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that your rate of return is any different.
Right.
You can
Right.
still negotiate your same interest rates and your same return on investment at 10,000 that you can on 100,000. You're just making a little bit of difference as far as your money.
And how do you find so say you decide you want to do this. Where are those people who don't know about you? Where do they come from to ask you for this money?
You mean the investors
Yes.
looking for money? Oh my gosh. So Michelle, let me just tell you, if you say you have money to loan, you will not have a problem finding
You'll have
people.
a lot of new friends.
You will have a lot of potentially new friends. The thing there is evaluating them.
Yeah.
So just to give you an example, I went to an event last week. I'm in Las Vegas. Now I moved from Florida a couple months ago to Las Vegas. Went to a real estate investor event and had 3 people come up and ask for money. So it's not hard to find people who want money.
Okay.
The person's responsibility as your business, as your entrepreneur, ownership, private money lending business,
Right.
is to evaluate who you want to do business, because you won't be able to. First, I've not yet run into like a multi-billionaire who wants to invest everything into private money lending only. So of course, you want to assess who you want to do business, the projects you want to do business. So finding them is not a problem. The other thing through Pennywise is, because I do have people come to me, just like I said, I have 3 people that came to me last week that wanted money. If you have a private money lending business and you want to be connected with that investor, and that investor wants to be connected with people who have money, we have a connectors club.
Interesting.
So that's another opportunity for you to look outside of your, of your little circle. You can start local. The nice thing about being a private money lender is there's no boundaries. You can loan locally in your own community.
Right.
You can loan within your state, or you can go national if you wanted to. I have loans in San Diego, or not San Diego, South Dakota.
Oh.
I've loaned in Florida. I loaned in Michigan. I've loaned in Alabama. So, there's no geographical boundaries. There's guidelines by states
And legality.
and
to
legalities,
think
which
about.
we,
Yeah.
teach through our training programs.
Oh, okay.
But there is really no boundaries. If you want to stay local and you want to be small as far as geographical, there'll be plenty of people wanting money. And the other thing to keep in mind is, in a strong market, people want money. In a weak market, people want money.
Right.
And the difference is, in a strong market, there's more money available. In a weak market, there's less money available because people are less likely to loan, especially the traditional lenders. So
Right.
this is a niche opportunity, especially right now, because we don't know. We feel like there's a pivot going on in the market, right? We've been in a solid economic position for a long time.
Right.
And so the few things, and we talk about this as well at Pennywise, the things we don't know is, we don't know when the downturn's going to happen,
Right.
and by how much.
Yeah.
But we know what goes up goes down,
Right,
and what goes
right.
down goes up. So in a downturn, if you have liquid assets, what if you were to not have them in that retirement account that's losing 20, 30, 50% of its value? What if you decided to pivot during that time, and you had liquid assets in a self-directed, and you could negotiate with investors who are looking for money, who can't get money in other ways,
Right.
and actually make money in a downturn, and then when the upturn, make more money. So cash flow and building wealth happens much quicker. And we have, it's hard visually here. I wish
Yeah.
I had an example. And I do have one on my slide presentation. But it's showing visualization on how that looks like, just on a fix and flip, to give you an example. So on a fix and flip, let's say a lender wants to loan, say, $100,000.
Okay.
So to buy it and to flip, it's going to be $100,000. Let's say the ARV, which is the average retail rate, is going to sell somewhere maybe about $170,000, $200,000, right?
Okay.
So I'm coming to you and I'm asking you for a $100,000 loan, and you're considering me, you're looking at me. I give you a pro forma, which I
Right.
recommend all lenders look at. Make
Okay.
sure that not only the lender is doing their due diligence, or the investor is, but you're also doing your due diligence as well. And you're like, perfect, I think this is great.
Okay.
I'm going to do a 1-year loan on your fix and flip penny. I want 12%. I want 500 or 1,000 fees to cover my business expenses.
Okay.
And I'm going to charge anywhere from 1, 2, 3, or 4%. So I might charge you 2 points on there.
Okay.
So just in one loan, you're getting income 3 different ways. So you have money in your self-directed that might be losing money in a downturn. But now, instead of losing money, you're making, let's say on average 12%. You're getting your business expenses covered, and you're charging 2 points, which is pretty typical. Most lenders in general may charge a fee.
Okay.
Most mortgage lenders. So guess what? You made almost $10,000 that year, or over $10,000 that year in interest, fees, and points on a $100,000 loan. Now, if you had that in a bank at 0%, nothing.
Yeah.
If you had that in a bank at 2%, let's say a CD, which I
Right.
think right now the CDs are like 2.5.
Right.
At least that's what I saw on the internet. We know the internet's always correct, right? So let's say the average right now in today's market is 2.5. So on
Okay.
that same $100,000, if you were to keep that in the bank or keep it in an investment account in an institution at 2.5, you would have made $2,500.
Right.
If you would have, as a private money lender, used that same money, you would have made over $10,000. That's in 1 year.
Okay.
So take that, do it twice, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and keep that going. Your cash flow increases, your wealth increases. It helps to create the lifestyle that you currently want. It helps you to plan for your retirement. I don't have the statistics with me, and I apologize. This would be a good statistic to have, is how many Americans are not prepared for retirement.
Oh, yeah.
I want to say it's probably over 60%
I think
from what
it's
my
higher.
numbers.
Yeah.
So what if we could think differently and do differently? What if we think differently, we know differently, we do differently, and we pivot? That's my passion. I want more people to understand this investment opportunity as an addition to their portfolio,
Right.
as an addition to their money mindset, so that they can plan for their retirement. They can plan for their child's education. They can plan to get out of debt
Right.
and live the lifestyle that they desire and that they deserve. That's my
Nice.
passion.
Yeah, that's
That was
a
a
good
lot.
one.
I'm sorry.
I know. I love it. I can feel the passion. And it's a really, really interesting investment alternative or addition. Not really an alternative, but
Yeah.
it's
It's an addition to your portfolio. People say don't put put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
And what I'm saying is educate yourself. Be
Yeah.
open to the possibility. Come have a conversation. Join one of our free webinars, our complimentary webinars. Learn more.
Right.
Be able to see some of the visual, which
Right.
today we're not able to show you, but see some of the examples, see some of the visuals, ask questions for yourself, and at least educate around the possibility of the investment idea.
Yeah. And how involved as the lender can you get in what the investor is doing with that property? I mean, if they say, I'm going to fix this place up, can you get involved in, the plans and what they're actually doing so that you can trust that it'll go in the direction you want?
So there's a couple of ways of looking at that. So as a lender, typically, if you think about you as the bank usually lets the homeowner do what they want.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So it's not that I wouldn't ask questions. I would definitely, as part of the pro forma, I ask the investor, what are you planning on doing? What's the average price for the fix and flip? Let's just stay on the fix and flip.
Okay.
So what's the purchase price? What are the houses in the area selling for? What work needs to be done? How much do you estimate that's going to cost? So I ask a lot of questions up front.
Okay.
Once I agree to do the loan, for the most part, as a lender, I step back and let that investor do what they want to do.
Okay.
First off, to be honest with you, it's a great way to do a passive business.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for. How
Right.
can I not work as hard and still have money coming? I could be sleeping,
Yeah.
and that investor's having to deal with the subcontractors. I'm not having to deal with the subcontractors.
So
right?
what you're saying is, if you want to be that involved in it, then go flip your own house.
Then
Yeah.
go probably do your own
Yeah,
fix
okay.
and flip. Absolutely. Now, there are ways, and this is advanced lending, there are ways to do joint venture and joint ownerships. I typically don't get into that in our private money lending 101
Okay.
because it is advanced
Okay.
negotiations and contracts and exactly what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm looking at it like if I do my due diligence up front to the best of my ability, I've minimized risks, I trust my investor, I like the property or the project, I'll go ahead and give you the money. I sit back, I relax, and I take the check in. That to me is passive income.
Yeah,
I love it.
interesting. What about, so the fix and flip is one example. What are other investments that you might lend for? I mean,
Anything and everything real estate. Now, I always recommend, so my philosophy is you always want to make sure that you have an asset attached to your loan. So what I mean by that, a property, any type of property. So whether it's a fix and flip, there are investors out there that do what's called buy and holds, which they are the landlords. They want to buy 1 or 2 or 3 single-family homes, multifamily homes for rental property purposes.
Right.
You can be the lender on those properties. So
Okay.
for example, like a fix and flip, it's usually a 1 year or less term. On the buy and holds, an investor wants a longer relationship. So
Okay.
it might be a 3 to 5 year loan.
Okay.
Okay. So those are some of the things that we talk about. You can also do commercial property, whether it's any kind of commercial building, again,
Okay.
strip malls. There's mobile home parks. You can loan on mobile homes. You can loan on tiny homes if you want to. You can loan on storage units.
Yeah.
So there's anything with a real estate so that you have a deed and equity, a first position is, just like the bank has first position on all of our primary residents.
Right.
I recommend not, again, I mean, somebody may choose not to, but part of our training and part of our recommendation and risk management is to make sure that there is a property that you have the first lien, not a second or
Okay,
third, the
okay.
first lien. That also helps to increase to minimize your risk. That didn't
Increase
come out
that
right,
good
but
feeling
yeah,
that you want around
exactly.
risk. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I remember
More security.
Yeah, there's a whole world out there that
Yeah.
people are pretty unaware of in terms of ways that they could go with these investments. I remember my husband was leasing space for a new dental office, and it was in a strip mall, and we'd never been in a strip mall before. And I remember calling the owner of the strip mall for something related to the lease, and him telling me that I was asking him something, and for some reason he answered this question by saying that he collected strip malls like people collect coins. And I don't know how many he had, but a lot. So,
And that, you don't have to pick and choose. The beauty of it is if you want to be in real estate, you can own property.
yeah.
There are ways to be able to do both and blend both to be able to do that. And that's all part of what we talk about and train the leveraging factor of money.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying, hey, if you want to be a private money lender owner and you have enough, if you had $1 million, you had $1 million in your retirement account, let's
Right.
say, and you loaned it out at 10 or 12%, what kind of rate of return would that be?
Yeah.
That'd be 100 to 120,000 a year.
Yeah.
You might sit back and do nothing else.
Right. Right.
But for those people who might want to be hands-on or might have real estate and own property, why not do both?
Yeah.
You don't have to choose one or the other. You can. And I'm not saying that's why educating people on this piece of real estate is so passionate for me. 'Cause
Right.
so many people, even people in real estate investing, myself, I was in for 15 years and I never knew I could be a lender.
Yeah,
So
wow.
just imagine all the people who aren't in real estate who don't know what they don't know.
Right.
So I'm here to help educate you.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
my goal.
So
That's my life
Pennywise
purpose.
is your company to
Pennywise
do this.
is my
and
company.
you do training around this so people can learn how to
Yes.
do this. And you have the networking. It's tell me what
The
you call it.
Connectors
The
Club.
Connectors Club.
Uh-huh.
And anything else in your company that you're doing right now?
So the main pieces that we have is obviously we offer a complimentary webinar to continue
Yeah.
the education.
Okay.
Which then
That's
leads
ongoing
to,
after the training, or
that's the initial aspect. That's the
Okay.
initial kind of, we talk a little bit more. It's a live video call so
Okay.
people can see some of the examples and things like that.
Okay.
And then we get them into the masterclass, Private
Okay.
Money Lending Masterclass. And that's a 6-part series that goes from A to Z. What is private money lending? Why would you want to be a private money lender? Why would an investor want to lend from you? How do you set up your business? I bring in industry experts. I'm not an attorney. I'm not the financial planner with self-directed, so I'll bring an attorney in to talk on our training programs
Okay.
that will advise how to set up your business.
Right.
We then have real estate attorneys that come in, how to set up your contracts. We give you resources online. All of the trainings are video and recorded, so you can go back as many times and watch and rewatch.
Okay.
From there, we have a mentor program. Some people will go through our training class and say, hey, you know what? I can do this. I'm going to do it on my own.
Okay.
Hey, if that's who you are and you can do it, great, more power to you.
Right.
But there are some people that want the hand-holding.
Right.
And the extra advice and another pair of eyes who have experience looking at their projects, especially the first few loans. So we have a mentor program.
Okay.
So those are the webinar that brings in for the masterclass, and the mentor program.
Okay.
And then the Connectors Club that connects the two entities, the investor and the private money lenders, we connect them together.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there people share information and keep learning in that club
Absolutely, as well. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been so interesting.
thank you.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. You have something else that you do, which is your podcast.
Oh, yes, thank
and
you.
Really interesting format that I would love for you to share for a minute.
Sure. So my podcast is called The Penny Z Show, and it was started as a labor of love about a year ago. As I mentioned early 3 years ago, I went through some pretty personal and financial trauma. I call it my depressional fog. And what I learned in going through that process and going through a few exercises is that I actually had a self-sabotaging mindset from when I was a little girl. And I did not realize that. And the self-sabotaging mindset was that I wasn't good enough. But people in my world didn't know that. And I didn't even realize that I was thinking that. But once I realized that I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't tall enough, because I'm 5'1", so I'm very short. I wasn't tall enough, I wasn't athletic enough, I wasn't smart enough to get the job promotion. And I started sharing this with friends. People are like, you have to share this with the world, because everybody in some way, shape, or form has a story around, I'm not good enough. Now, whether we want to be vulnerable enough and share it, that's another story. And I respect that privacy. So I started the Penny Z Show as a labor of love a year ago and shared my I'm overcoming I'm not enough. And so now I have guests on, much like yourself, and I'd love to have you on to talk about your money mindset. And we talk about what was their I'm not good enough story. But I like to empower people. So we talk about the tools and techniques that they use to overcome that empowerment, to become the person that they are today, and the success, their business success or their personal success or family success. And so I would love people to like us on Facebook, obviously go to our website, subscribe so you'll know every Wednesday we have a new episode that comes out every Wednesday, so we're a weekly podcast on the Penny Z Show. Thank you.
And
Thank you for letting me
you're
share.
so welcome. I found it so interesting because I checked it out and I was scrolling through the shows, and everybody has this I'm not good enough story, but I'm looking for a repeat, and everybody had a different thought about, I'm not good enough around this or that, but none of them were the same. So
I'm as surprised as you are. I've been doing this for over a year and have interviewed close to 40 plus people and have another 8 interviews this month alone. So I'm excited. And you're right. I have not come across the same exact story. And I'm almost like not wanting that day to happen, but now counting, when is that same story going to come back again?
Things we're not good enough around.
Us humans, our mind is a great and beautiful thing, but it also, is our biggest challenge.
Well, I told you it would go fast, and it did. We're pretty much out of time, but I would love for you to let people know how they can reach you and learn more about your program. And if they have additional questions, please reach out to Penny, and you can tell them how to do that and get more answers, because my guess is that you're intrigued, at least. I know I am, and I'm looking forward to learning more about this. So
absolutely. Well, Michelle, thank you. Again, thank you for having me
so
on
welcome.
and the opportunity. So my company, obviously I'm Penny Zelenkoff. My company is Pennywise. There is a play on my name around there, and it's pennywise.com. We would love for you to go to the website. There is a subscription button there. Please put your email information in there and subscribe. We will contact you for our complimentary webinar. It's Private Money Lending 101. So please contact us that way. The other way that you can reach out is obviously emailing us directly, and it's the letter Z, team @pennywise.com. So that's how you can reach us.
wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
And did you mention your free gift? There is a
the complimentary webinar and
you.
also free strategy session with me personally.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah,
Extra
absolutely.
free gift.
Absolutely.
I didn't know about
More
that one.
value,
That's very
more
nice.
value.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you again. And listeners, thank you for being here. We love having you here on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock at ubngo.com. You can hear the show after the fact at iHeartRadio and iTunes and Spotify and some other places. And you can reach me if you have questions on how to transition your career, expand your business, improve your relationship with money. You can reach me at michelle@limitfreelife.com. I do have a new program, a 6-week program called the Complete Clarity Code that is designed to help you get out from, clear the fog and get to a point where you can make a decision about your next move, because a lot of times we just find ourselves stuck and unclear about where we want to go and the direction we want to head. So that program is designed to help you get crystal clear on what to do next and where to go and how to get started and to create a strategy around that. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, and we will see you next week. I think one of the most important messages I have to share with the world about the work that I do is that your work is yours to create. This is your piece of art that you can create in your life, and there's really nothing stopping you. Overall, most of us can learn what we need to learn and figure out what we need to figure out and create that fabulous career or business that we dream about. And there's really no reason to think that you can't. My name is Michelle Perkins, and I am the CEO and founder of a company called Limit Free Life. And I help men and women to make dramatic change in their lives so that they can have the fulfillment, fun, and financial prosperity that they have always wanted to find through their work. The main services I offer through Limit Free Life are one-on-one private coaching, group coaching, trainings and seminars, and business consulting. My signature service is one-on-one coaching over a period of time, 3 months, 6 months, even a year. It really allows a person to decide on an outcome that they desire, and then for us to work together to really achieve that outcome in full. The type of clients that I typically work with are professional men and women who are driven to do more, who might be entrepreneurs, but also career professionals who work in organizations who are really looking to do more with their lives and very open to thinking in new ways about what they're doing, and who are willing to take responsibility, do the work, make some changes, and who don't say I can't a whole lot. Clients up-level in a number of ways. For some, they start a business after being in the corporate world. For others, they have an existing business and they really figure out the key and the formula to making that business grow and take off. For some, it's a matter of really developing courage. And for many, it's a matter of up-leveling their view of themselves, what they're capable of, how powerful they are, what their strengths are, and where they can go in life. What I see also is that there's a spark that kind of gets lit, and that flame keeps growing within them, and there are things that they want that maybe they were reluctant to even express that they wanted, and now they just go for it. They have bigger wants and bigger dreams than they had before, and the sense that they can achieve those things. I feel very strongly that money beliefs are foundational to developing a business that can scale and grow and become the business that you want it to be, whatever level of success that is. And for people who feel stuck or their business isn't going the way they want, a lot of times it comes back to some of these money beliefs. So as a certified money mindset coach, I have the training to help people understand where their hidden money beliefs are either interfering in their lives or businesses, or coming into play in some fashion in all the decisions that they're making, both in their business and in their life. The overall mission behind my work is to help people love their work, to find satisfaction, fulfillment, fun, and also to be financially prosperous in what they're doing. That combination to me is a perfect recipe for making work a great part of your life. And so that's my vision, is for people to see work and money as allies in their life and things they can lean on so that they have something that makes them feel important and something that gives them a place to go to develop a sense of identity and purpose and meaning in the world. My greatest hope for my clients is that they will develop a holistic relationship with work, money, and life, and there won't be this separation where they go to work and then they live their life after work, and they will develop work or businesses that they love, that they look forward to going to, and they give them the freedom and the income and the happiness that they're looking for in their life.